waqt din il-wirja internazzjonali mtella minn Malta Feline Guardians Club u ovvjament għandna ħafna qtates differenti ta' breeds differenti li llum qegħdin jikkompetu waqt din il-wirja internazzjonali. L-esibituri ovvjament ikunu qed jagħmlu xogħol tajjeb ħafna, anzi infatti jkunu bdew minn żmien qabel ikun hemm din il-wirja internazzjonali biex il-qtates tagħhom jidhru fl-aħjar mod possibbli meta iġibuhom hawnhekk quddiem il-judges. U infatti hawnhekk illum għandi judge miegħi li se nagħmlu intervista judge ta' esperjenza twila ma naraw ftit fin-naħa tiegħu x'esperjenza kellu meta beda eżattament u ovvjament illum x'qed jara hawnhekk din il-wirja bħala standard tal-qtates. Thanks for accepting to do this interview. Can you tell our televiewers about your experience as a judge? When did it started?
Okay, well, first, thank you very much for contacting me. Malta is a very nice place. It's a curious place too. For the cats, I'm starting in 1992. It's a lot of years, yes. I start before in FIFA with Siamese and Oriental cats, north of Europe, Scandinavia, and after I got more and more exams, and finally I finished all my exams, like all breed. My experience, well, I judged in all the continents, never in Africa, sorry, and I have shows every year, a lot of shows every year.
So you started with FIF?
Yes.
First. And then did you change organization or did you judge for other organizations?
Yes, exactly. Because like a FIFA judge is really difficult to judge for other federations, yes? And finally I decided to use my mind for everybody and judge for a lot of different associations. Of course, sometimes it's different, completely different systems. Others is like the same, it's different. But yes, I'm starting in FIFA. FIFA is a perfect school for judges, and after I can go around the world with other federations.
I see. And now you judge for WCF, our organization,
for
and for
any problem, yes.
And
yes,
for TICA as well?
Well, we have two different ways for judge cards. One is like a judge for the federation, and the other one is like a guest judge. I'm judge for WCF, and judge for TICA, and guest for the others.
I understand. So, did you ever had your own cats?
Today?
No. Did you ever in the past?
Yes, of course. Yes, I'm breeding cats for a lot of years. The problem
which breed did you start with?
Siamese.
Siamese.
Siamese, and a very particular Siamese is scarlet foreign white. It's a white Siamese. The problem is judging and breeding at the same time is really difficult. Because for breeding you need time. You need to talk with your cats, you need to use your time, spend your time with your cats. And when you judge, you are not so much free time. And unfortunately, I need to work too. It needs so much time. And finally, I decided to close my breeding program.
I see. Can you tell us what you have been to Malta another time around 6 years ago?
Yes,
I think.
A lot of time.
So, what about the standard? Maybe you can compare the standard of 6 years ago and the standard of today.
Well, the situation...
How did you see the cats?
About cats, of course, yeah. The situation is completely different from 6 or 7 years ago. 6 or 7 years ago, we have more cats in show, but today we have better technical cats in show. It's a question of quality or quantity, and for the moment, you stay in the way of quality. This is really important. And you are not alone in your country. You have more and more people, and of course, yes, it's more difficult. But it's the correct way because you have very, very nice at the technical level cats. And this is the best, the most important for me.
I see. And what about the grooming? How did you see the grooming? The exhibitors
day and night.
Prepare the cats very well. And how did you see
6 or 7 years ago is one of your first shows. The people don't spend time for grooming, for toiletage, and need learning more. And today the situation is completely different. We have that's today Persians in a very spectacular condition and perfect presentation. It's perfect.
can you relate to us? You've been around the world, judging around the world. Can you tell us experiences, and maybe you can tell us about the standard you found in other countries?
Well, normally the standard is the same. It's not important the country, it's most important the federation. Inside the federation, different countries have exactly the same standards. But this is only the theoretical part. After the reality is a little bit different. In very little places, the people don't travel so much, and these endogamic breeding programs. And this is dangerous maybe, and it's difficult for compare with foreigner cats. It's completely different from east of Europe or north of Europe or United States or Australia or South Africa.
If you go to very large shows, maybe in Russia, how is the standard? Even Europe, but I know that in Russia they have these magnificent large shows.
Why? So the first weekend in December is a very big show. It's a lot of different federations inside the same show hall.
Same show.
You can sometimes judge the same cat, but between different standards, because everyone has your standard, every federation, I think. Yeah. Well, it's not the moment for the biggest shows. That's right. With the financial problems, it's difficult. But we have some biggest and largest shows. Moscow is one example. After Paris is another one. We have some very beautiful cat shows with a lot of different cats, and this really is a pleasure because you can judge a lot of different standards, different breeds.
I see. And how do you judge a cat? How do you judge a cat? I know it's a simple and a difficult question at the same time.
No, it's not difficult. The only problem is the answer is maybe too long.
Too long, yes, to explain. But when you see a cat, how do you give points, for example?
Well, we have the most important for this, for judging cats, of course, is the standard. And the standard is not only important for judging; it's important too for breeding, because the standard is the line for breeding and for judging. While you have a description for every part of the cat, for example, body, legs, tail, etc., and you have points for this part.
I see.
And this is your level for compare different cats from completely different breeds. Yes, of course, apparently it's completely impossible or really difficult to compare one Sphinx with one Persian. It's day and night. You need to use the standard of points.
Yes, exactly. And when you, for example, we come for the general best, and you're choosing between, for example, a Sphinx and I'm using your example, the same example, and a Persian.
Wow, it's the same. It's a standard of points because we have at every time or a lot of times we have two different and completely different opinions. Yes, this and this. It's not exactly the same, but you need to use your standard of points for the site. It's not a question I prefer or I like. It's okay, I have X points and the other one have X plus 2. The last is the best.
I see. What is the most popular breed in shows at the moment?
Around the world?
Around the world, yes. Maybe a long time ago it was the Persian, but now
not all the world have the same preference. The
it
eastern countries in Europe, for example, Scottish Fold is probably one of the most popular breeds.
At the moment.
Yeah. But you cannot imagine 120 Scottish Folds.
120 in one show?
Yeah. And after you have the other breeds. Yes, it's a lot, of course. In Europe, the classical Europe, probably Maine Coon is the best for the moment. I have a lot of Maine Coons in different colors. And it's very curious because in the United States, one of the most popular breeds is the Horseshoe Pets. You can judge 45 Horseshoe Pets.
Household pets? Domestic cats?
Yeah. It's really popular.
I have it in America.
In America, yes. In Europe, no. Unfortunately,
Unfortunately not.
Sometimes you have 2 cats or 3 cats, 5 maximum. This is a big experience. But for the United States, 5 is nothing, and normally it's a lot of different cats.
I see. Your conclusion about this show for today?
Personally, I like. I'm waiting for the next. Now, right. You have very nice and very interesting difference between years ago. And for today, you have more and more technical resources. Perfect. You are in the way.
I see. I would like to thank you for this interview and thanks for coming here to Malta the second time for judging our kits.
Okay, thank you very much. For me, it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. Mela minn hawnhekk nagħlaq din l-intervista ma' Edwardo Borras, ġaġ li għandu esperjenza twila ma' diversi organizzazzjonijiet differenti kif qalilna tajjeb u sa ħanaraw eżattament minn se jkunu ta' rebbieħ mbagħad naraw min huwa min rebaħ il-General Best, ġifieri dak il-qattus li jkun rebbieħ fuq kollha. Minn hawnhekk nagħlaq din l-intervista nispera li ssibtu din l-intervista interessanti u issa inkomplu naraw ftit se jiġri waqt din il-birja internazzjonali imtella mill-Malta Fila Gardeners Club.